Hey guys, and welcome back to another video, and in this one we're going to look at something very special. Now this is a Defender 110, but it's been given the treatment by the Chelsea tractor company, or Kahn. So it has a lot of upgrades. The interior is insane. I think you guys will find that very interesting, but under the body it is, for the most part, remained very original. It has the original diesel engine in the front, the suspension and all that is the same, but inside it's got some very unique, very custom features, and the outside looks fantastic. I love this two-tone. It looks really, really sharp. This thing's basically a Defender but modernized, and it drives a little differently as well. So stick around and I'll show you around the inside and tell you how it drives and show you the unique features of this car. So I'll just point out some of the things on the outside of this vehicle. You'll notice a lot of these bumpers look like they've been riveted on, which really adds to the look of the car. The normal Defenders usually just come in the one body tone, but this with the extra black bits looks really mean and fantastic. See, it's covered all around the side as well. You have these Cooper Discoverer tires, which come as standard on the Kahn cars. You've got Chelsea Truck Company in here. If you can look carefully, I'm trying to get out of the way, and you'll see Kahn written there, which is a really nice touch. More of these riveted body panels, which look great. You have this side step here, which has been added as well. Very handy. The same kind of theme continues all the way back. On the back here, you have a twin crosshair exhaust system. You can see here and just over there, which is really nice, and which is a nice touch. You get a ladder on the back, so you can climb up on top. And this one currently has a hell of a lot of bike racks stuck on the top. You also get a spare tire on the back here. So yeah, it's a very appealing car. I think I really like the looks of this. I usually don't like black alloys, but this works super well. Okay, before we hop out for a drive, I thought I'd show you the interior of this car, because that is one of the coolest parts about it. So we open it up. It seems pretty standard as far as the door is concerned. And then if we look in, we see these incredible quilted leather bucket seats, and they're so supportive. You can see a little bit of the Kahn badging there. They're proper bucket seats, and they're actually very supportive. They're very tight and hugging. I'm quite thick, so it's it almost is slightly too tight there on the edges, but it's very nice. And we'll actually hop in the car. Hopefully the door doesn't break my leg. You see, this is continued, this theme, this beautiful quilted leather, and it is everywhere. You can see it here, you can see it over here. Sorry, hopefully the sun doesn't get in the way. And again, another beautiful seat. These seats are fantastic. I really like those. So then if we have a look over here at the steering wheel, this is a solid one-piece steering wheel made out of metal, and it feels so solid in your hands when you're driving. It's a sensation I've never really gotten from a steering wheel before, because I've never held one that's like fully metal, that feels so, like there's no movement in it whatsoever. You have some Chelsea Truck Company badging right there. If we look down here, we have some more Chelsea Truck Company, refined in England. We have some more Kahn badging up here. You can see a Kahn clock that you probably saw in the intro already. And then, I don't know if you can see in there, but there's another Kahn and a British kind of flag on it. Now the pedals as well are custom. If you see down here, they all have Kahn badging on them. It's very, very cool. And the interior, the roof is lined with like a black suede. That's very, very nice. You get some more Kahn badging down over here. So it's kind of like as they say, refined. They've taken a Defender and kind of refined it and bumped it up a few notches. It's a really cool place to be. You've plenty of leather everywhere. It's just something special. It's like, when you're driving by, people kind of notice it, but they don't like think that it's an incredibly nice looking car. They just think, whoa, that car actually looks really cool. It's a very nice interior. Let me show you the back seats as well, because that's something special. Being the 110, there's plenty of room in the back. Again, this theme is continued. This is just some recording equipment. This lovely quilted leather. There's no expenses spared in here. It looks absolutely fantastic. It's a really cool modern take on the old classic Land Rover Defender design, which I absolutely adore so much. You even have the glass little windows up there that you can see, and the back has some more quilted leather. If you can see in the, you can't really see it very well, but that little panel goes on top of the seat there, so you can fit a few more people in the back. It's a fantastic interior. It's really cool. Here's these bucket seats from the back. They look fantastic. It's a really, really cool interior to be in, special. As soon as you get in, you're like, whoa, whoa. Okay, we're gonna hop out on the road and I'm gonna tell you a few things about how it drives and what it's like and some of the characteristics of the car. Oh my god, the turning circle of this thing is actually like a bus.
It is like a bus.
Okay, the clutch is so much nicer. The clutch usually on a Defender, if you've ever driven one, is really long and it's really, really heavy. This one is kind of short, but it's still got that heaviness to it, so it still feels really robust and kind of intact. And the gearbox, if you've driven a Defender, again, usually they're quite loose and very long kind of throws. This has a much more refined, kind of shorter, notchier kind of gearbox. You can really feel when you're in gear. It gives you like a really reaffirming kind of click when you actually get it in gear. Beautiful evening with all the balloons out. Now the ride is kind of a little bit bumpy. I don't think they've changed much over the standard Defender in terms of putting a new suspension in. There's nothing I can see, and from looking on the website, there's nothing else that I could really see there either. Now the steering is something interesting. I'll tell you after we take this turn. Good to go. So the steering wheel, as you've seen on this car, is solid metal and it's quite small compared to like a lot of other cars that I've driven. It's probably even smaller than the steering wheel on my Polo. So it kind of makes it very interesting to drive because it's a really small steering wheel, and I feel like it's the steering ratio of like how much you turn to how much the wheels turn is really high. So you only need to turn it a tiny bit and it will start turning very, very quickly, and it kind of gives a little bit to the sorry, just letting the car go by. It kind of makes the car feel a little bit more nimble than it is, because again, if you've driven a normal Defender, you know the steering wheel has a lot of kind of play in it and you can move it around a hell of a lot. But this gearbox and clutch actually feels really, really solid. Very nice. Whereas 5th and 6th gear aren't as positive when you put them in there. You're kind of wondering if you're actually in the gear or not. But it's nice to have a 6-speed gearbox, because a lot of the Defenders, I only have a 5-speed, so at least you'll get a little bit more MPG out of these things. And these things are very thirsty on fuel. There's something about this car though, when you're in the car and you're driving along, you kind of get looks from people. I think it's just because the car looks like Defender, in my opinion, already is a fantastic looking car. It's really, really good looking. But then this kind of adds to it a little bit more with those body panels on the outside. It really kind of makes it look a bit more mean and a bit more tough. And this car, as to be expected, it does roll a little bit. When you're going around a corner, you can feel it kind of pitching and yawing a little bit. But I have to say, this is a big improvement on a normal Defender to drive. It kind of makes it a lot more everyday usable. Very busy down here at the moment. There's an M135i. Car of the future, potentially. Yeah, the gearbox feels great, and it has the same engine as the normal 110, so there's no surprises there. It's very, very torquey. Yeah, I can feel the car kind of pitching right now. Kind of has a lot of roll. This car has all the off-roading capability of a normal 110. It's just been kind of glamorized on the inside. There's something really nice as well when you're looking out on the bonnet of this. I'll try to get a shot of what the bonnet really looks like. But it's just so square and so angular, it's almost like a G-Wagon. It just looks really, really smart. What are these? They're English Army. What are they, like?
Yeah.
Trucks. It's weird, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, so the steering wheel is very, very responsive, and it's very small, so this is probably like one of the smallest steering wheels I've ever driven a car with, which kind of takes a little bit to get used to. It's interesting. Yeah, the gearbox is definitely so much nicer. It's so much smoother. The seats again are so supportive, you don't move at all. As much as the car is kind of pitching and rolling a little bit, you're kind of glued into your seat, which is, it's kind of a weird thing to have in a Defender. Bucket seats, when I first saw them I was like, what am I looking at? But when you're in it, it kind of feels like it fits the theme of this car. It's kind of extra, it's a bit of an event to be in here, to look at everything, to feel it. It looks great. And the steering wheel is just lovely. So what Kahn have done here is kind of taken what normally feels like a bit more of an agricultural machine. If you've ever driven a Defender, you know they're not exactly the nicest things to drive. They're quite heavy on the foot, especially your clutch foot. The gearbox is a bit kind of loopy and it's kind of hard to find your gear. Whereas they've taken that and kind of refined it and made it more of a road-going vehicle, but without losing that off-roading capability that it has. It feels very special in here. It's just something very different, and you're not going to see a lot of these on the road. I think the real event starts once you actually get inside the vehicle, and this is really, really something cool. Continuing on from what I was saying about the steering wheel and trying to get used to it, it feels like once you get up to speed, that because it's so sensitive, it feels like the car is kind of constantly wanting to move kind of left and right, or kind of darting, and you have to kind of readjust. But I think it's something you just have to get used to and just kind of work with it, work with the machine. And the ride really isn't too bad. It's probably exactly the same as any other Defender that's on the road, so it's not overly comfortable, but it's definitely not a pain in the ass to drive. I just would wonder how comfortable it would be for a long journey if you're going from here, maybe 100 miles. That would be an interesting story. I'll see how you feel, especially with these bucket seats. One thing I think about the interior though, since it's following this all black kind of theme, the only thing that isn't black in here is the steering wheel. It kind of makes the cabin feel quite dark, especially if you're not in direct sunlight. I had to go try find somewhere that had a bit of sunlight so I could record the inside of the vehicle. It's quite dark in here. And I know in the back it does have little windows in the roof like I showed you before, but it doesn't really kind of help the front in the front cockpit here. But I do love the colour scheme of this car. It's kind of dark metallic grey with the black. It just works so well. I really like this car. It has such a cool look to it. It's so special, like it's something else, but it's still a Defender, and I think that's what the coolest thing is. It's just been a Defender that's kind of been retouched. Things can get a little bit noisy in here as well, especially once you start going over a few bumps. Kind of gets a little bit rattly, but that's all part of the characteristics of a Defender. That's what they're like. I love that. I don't know if you can pick it up in the mic, you probably can't, but when you're putting it into gear, it gives you a real notch. It gives you a real solid feeling that you know that you're in the gear, which I love. It just feels great. It feels really mechanical. But it's not too loud. The engine noise isn't too loud. I was driving a Defender 90 last week and the engine noise was a hell of a lot louder than this. Another thing which is nice in a Defender to have is a rev counter. The Defender 90 that I was driving previously, I think it was around a 2006 model, it didn't have a rev counter, so it feels like it's very outdated. But this one actually does have a rev counter, which is nice. And the dials look super clean. This car is only covered 16,000 miles from new. That's pretty impressive, and it's very well looked after. But it is taken off-road, which is where it should be. It should be taken off-road. Okay, to sum things up, since my time driving this has come to an end, it's a really cool car. It's a very special, unique kind of take on a Defender, which is such an iconic car. It's really cool. It's a very special place to be. Just being in here is just something really cool. So, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, guys, please leave a like. I'd appreciate it. And maybe subscribe for some more content. Thanks very much.